Okay.
Yep,
Well,
screws and poles. Ugh.
but I'm sorry.
Screws and poles.
Well, I've got that. Got a
Maybe I'll
double
be
A.
tall when I get finished.
No, I'm shorter than I was.
Yeah, yeah. Oh
Much
well.
shorter.
Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry we're just talking a little while we're waiting for a few more folks to join us. Thank you all for. I know it's Friday afternoon. I know people are busy. So the good news is, this fit in your schedule for this afternoon, and then perhaps this is your last big meeting of the week. I'm sure you've had plenty of things going on all week.
Right.
Yeah, I got a couple more after this.
A couple more after this. So sorry about that.
You're a glutton
Oh,
for
that's right.
punishment, Richard.
Yeah.
Boy.
With responsibility, you got to take it on, right?
That's right. So
Yep, got to do it. We'll give it just a couple more seconds. I think we've got Ainsley. Were there a number of people that said they could not come this afternoon, or this is pretty much everybody?
I know that Rochelle is not able to come. I know John Feaster is not able to come. Anne is not able to come. So I don't know if we're waiting on anybody else. I think Danielle might be stopping by, but I'm
Okay.
sure. So
Okay, why don't we get started then anyway, because it's Friday afternoon and Richard has more calls after this, so we want to keep
he
people
needs to take a
moving.
break.
Right. Well, again, thank you everyone for coming. And Ainsley has in fact sent out the draft report and of course the agenda for today. So let's just start briefly with any additions or corrections to the September meeting minutes that she included in your email. Or can we move for any additions or corrections to those minutes? Thank you for scrolling those. I didn't see anything that needed changing. Any other thoughts from anybody? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
I'll motion to approve.
Thanks, Richard.
Motion to
Second.
approve.
Second.
That's it. Motion to approve. This is Jamel Freeman. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you, Janelle. Okay. All right, let's move on to the important part of today's agenda, which is really again looking at the summary report that Ainsley and others put together. It's 15 pages of information and charts and descriptors. So we thank all the work that I know Ainsley put into this and others. So it takes a lot to get to this kind of a draft statement, draft summary. So I had to print it because the print on the screen is too small. So what I thought we would do is take each recommendation at a time, have any discussion, and then have a vote at each one. Does anyone else, are you comfortable with that, or you have a better suggestion, or are we ready to move forward with that?
That's fine.
Okay. The first one is clearly to conduct a review of transitional programming and ensure offerings are aligned with population needs. And over the last 6 months, a year, we've had a lot of conversations about that. And is there any disagreements with that, or any suggestions you have? You can see the supporting documentation that she's scrolling through as well. Thank you for all those charts. Where did those come from? Just out of curiosity. I mean, I see I see the figure 1 in the footnote, but where exactly is that from? The data system?
yeah, so that's from the
Yeah.
Maryland Longitudinal Data System.
Yeah.
So good note on that. I will make a footnote to say where that comes from. And then these are just a compilation of the CEC reports over time. So I will also put a footnote there to note where those charts come from.
Great, thank you. Any questions about the documentation that's there, or any suggestions for anything else to be added or edited?
Do we have any numbers on what this means? For example, the first column, transitional only with without correctional education GD. I mean, are we talking hundreds of people as a sample, or do we know?
I don't believe we know, because I think some of the data was so small that it was suppressed. Like, I think with some of these, we're probably talking about like a handful of people, like 10. So we don't have any specific numbers on that, but I do think that the Governor's Office of Crime Prevention and Policy, we're getting access to that database soon. So we should be able to have more like informed conversations and more like informed data reports from the Data Systems Center in the future, like next year.
Okay.
So do you think we should add a footnote to that effect as well, saying that we don't know the actual numbers yet? The actual numbers?
Yes, we can do that
Yeah,
as
I
well.
think that'd be very good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. Can I call the question here for approval of recommendation 1? If you can just raise your hand or say aye, either way. This is a small group today.
Okay.
Thanks, Jamal, and a couple others. Ainsley, does this have to have a quorum from the whole committee? Or?
No.
This one has just been pretty. We haven't been taking votes. I think it's mostly just been like by consensus if anybody has anything they wanted to add or so.
Okay. Well, we won't be so formal then if we don't need to be.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to recommendation 2 then. Do we number those recommendations?
We can definitely number those. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the pages, because as I said, when I printed it, I have to just keep it in order here.
Yeah. They'll have page numbers when they're compiled into the whole report.
Sure,
For sure.
Sure,
Yeah.
of course.
But yeah.
Right. So the second one that I can tell is encourage the Department of Labor to continue using the MLDSC, which is the one that Ainsley just mentioned, data partnership to align occupational program with labor market outcomes. And again, you can see the background information in the solution below that. Hopefully everybody had a chance to review this before our meeting today to see if there was any questions you had. And probably the same data statement footnote will be under these charts as well. Any comments, discussion, suggestions? I think that's pretty straightforward.
Again, is that we don't have numbers per se, right?
Right.
No, not on this one. Yeah.
So probably an asterisk.
Okay. All right. Any other comments for this recommendation? I like the background and solution parts. That's sort of and briefly because it outlines kind of what we've been talking about and suggestions. That's good.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Let's move on to what I think is number 3. Request legislation to create a line item to fund the Certified Peer Recovery Specialist Program with the opportunity to expand with grant funding. This one's kind of another straightforward one. And again, with background information where they are now. Clearly lays out the issue. And the line item would be part of the solution. Any comments, suggestions, questions with that?
I mentioned this on the other meetings. This is a piece for legislation that the delegates are taking and putting forward. And they will do the legislation without really mentioning the commission per se, I guess. And that's okay. But I think it's important to note that we have several pieces of legislation that have resulted from our work that members, the delegates who are members of the commission have decided are important enough to go after legislation, which shows the impact of our work. And I think everybody ought to be proud of that it's we've done in depth enough that they want to go forward with changing some things in the law or adding some things to the law.
Okay. Other comments or questions for that recommendation? Hearing none, let's move on then. The next recommendation is to ask the Maryland Department of Labor to report on how many professional and occupational licenses have been denied due to criminal history since 2021, and by June 30th of 2026.
And this is one that John Feaster said that he would be able to get the information from. So I know that we had some discussions about whether or not that information was available, and he said that it would be. So
Did he say when?
he
Approximately
did
when?
not say he did not say when.
Okay.
But I think we have a deadline here on June 30th, 2026. So.
Okay, great. Hi, Danielle. Thank you for coming. We
Hey,
are,
sorry, late.
yeah, no problem. We're just obviously going through the draft, and we just finished the recommendation discussion on the reporting of the licensures, and we're ready to move on. And Nels, you have a question to the next recommendation? Okay,
No,
the next
that's fine. Yeah.
the next recommendation is create a pilot program to use work release to place pre-apprenticeship graduates into community apprenticeships when they are within 18 months of release, ensuring they are released employment ready with job connections. And you can see the background provided there and some of the case management flow that would be reflected in that. And it also shows part of the solution in a sample. I liked the fact that the best practice was there. Yeah, Danielle, go ahead.
So my question I had with this was that if it is being part of work release, then that means whoever they are going to be, whatever they are going to, right? So with work release, when they are released for work release, say they go to McDonald's. McDonald's is paying their wage, right? It's got to be at least minimum wage. So if we are doing this as part of work release, well, one, there's restrictions on work release. They'd have to qualify for it. And then if they do this and they go to this, what was it, an employer that is connected to, what did the recommendation say again?
It was a pre-apprenticeship, so there would be an employer related to that.
I'm trying to, can
Yeah,
you
do
go
you see
back
the
up to the recommendation?
Yes.
Yes.
Create a pilot program to use work release to place pre-apprenticeship graduates into community apprenticeships when they are within 18 months of release.
So
Ensure
we're
that they-
talking about continue an apprenticeship. The problem with doing it as work release is they have to be paid. So who's going to pay them for that?
Well, generally in pre-apprenticeship programs, it's the employer, unless there's a grant somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
So we would have to find employers that, well, one, it would have to be created, the whole program itself, right? Like it would have to be created. And then, and since I'm assuming then they would then get the full apprenticeship certification, right? I see this more as a work-based learning opportunity, not work release. And if we do it under work-based learning, Ramika, we don't have the restrictions of work release. So then you could do it as a pilot program as work-based learning. You still do the whole connection to the employer, connection to the apprenticeship, community apprenticeship program. Like say it's through ABE, right? Or ABC, American Builders and Contractors.
Right.
They then connect them with an employer, right? Now, they might not get paid. We'd have to figure out the pay and everything. Because it is more of a training program, not a work release program. But then you wouldn't have the restrictions because there are a lot of restrictions on qualifying as work release.
Those are good. Those are very good points.
Right.
So any other feedback about that? Are the rest of us comfortable with editing that so it would say work-based learning rather than work release?
Absolutely. This also gives a variety of folks an opportunity
Right.
to have, so when we think about access and how many folks that this could potentially lives could touch, this is the parameters are widened a great deal. And I think that leaves room for flexibility to serve all folks in various capacities. So yeah, I agree 100% with that.
Would there be any downside if we made it work-based learning rather than rather than work release? In
Not
terms of
that I've seen.
supervision or
No,
coordination?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay, Ainsley?
we would just have to, we would create, what does those parameters look like, right?
Yeah, sure.
And we're actually in the process of already doing this with, and that's why Ramika, with Goucher, and doing work-based learning opportunities for Goucher graduates and things. So it's something we're already kind of in process with. So I think this would lend itself well to continuing that. Yeah.
And this would be a pilot anyway, too. So that's good
Correct.
time for that. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you're saying Goucher, I mean, and with Goucher's not doing career career technology training per se. I don't understand.
We're doing work-based learning with Goucher graduates, where they will be placed into a work-based learning opportunity where they are getting paid by an employer to do work. And it's based on their degree that they earned while they were incarcerated. So we are already in the process of like doing the parameters for what a work-based learning opportunity would be. So then all we'd have to do then is transfer over what does that look like for this pilot program.
So, but we have listed here career training, pre-apprentice programs, and that. So we have carpenter, electrical, but that doesn't. That's not what Goucher's doing.
I know. Well, I'm just saying we're already creating the work-based learning work assignment. So it would just be part of that same thing, but instead of the Goucher post-secondary graduates, it would be pre-apprenticeship graduates.
So do we have anything going on at labor right now that's similar?
No.
So
We are in talks with Howard Community College to do a line cook apprenticeship program in which they will earn a culinary certification, and they will also get, and it's a full apprenticeship program. And then they also will get college credits. It's an 18-month college credit program too. So we're already kind of in the works with some of this stuff. But that, again, we're not doing as work release because of the restrictions on work release.
So I think we ought to make a clarification here already that there's something, because you're talking about Department of Labor's Office of Workforce Development, and how are you working with them through the Goucher and through possibly Howard County with that?
No, with the Goucher thing, no, because that's post-secondary labor.
So it looks like we have a model we could go off of, but it's different thing here. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. We have the model, we have the parameters and all that already started. All we got to do is transfer that over then to work-based learning is a national model for all different types of things. So it can be used in a variety of different ways.
It's been used a lot nationally, as you're saying, with CTE as well.
Yeah. We did it through Goucher, just did it through two AIs that were part of the Alliance for Higher Education that did work-based learning, where they got paid for to do remote work. So, we're doing it, in multiple different other areas. Maine is a huge example of this. California, they have models. So we can just build off of what that work-based learning model is, that national model.
okay, so we're Angie's writing a piece in here that we're going to fill that out a little bit. So there's because that's information that would be very helpful as we go through with this stuff. Okay.
Okay, any other comments or feedback or suggestions for this particular recommendation that's been modified or edited or slightly shifted? Anything else?
If I can just really quickly, just because I'm the labor representative here, because John couldn't make it, I'll just run that work release definition by him. I'll shoot him an email, and then I'll tell him if he has any updates, Ansley, to send you an email.
Thank you. Okay. This particular recommendation had 2 and 3 pages of background material and explanation. So let's move on to the next one, which is review and recommend comprehensive requirements for licensing authorities not to restrict licensing based on criminal history unless it is directly related to the license, including reporting for when licensing is denied based on criminal history. That's pretty straightforward as well. Any questions or comments on that recommendation? And again, you'll see quite a bit of background information there that Ainsley's put in. And this has been on the agenda several times with some of our work group meetings. Any feedback or concerns?
Yeah,
Or,
this
yeah,
is Jamel Freeman. Hello. Ainsley, and maybe you can, I did look over this. I think you know that I had me and a couple of my colleagues from school, we had voted on this and testified on it. So I just want to make sure, is there any type of wording and protection for that? Because meaning I don't see it a lot in applications no more, but some companies do, where they say, have you committed any crimes within the last 7 years? So as long as that we have that protection that is in there or mentioned or suggested, I do know that if you go to House Bill 482, which is Delegate Harrison, in the synopsis of the bill, it started in October already. I'm not looking at it right now, so I'm kind of just going off the cuff, telling y'all this. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Well, if there's should we mention a part of that in here? Since we have you have some experience with this, we've got a House bill. I mean, this should go on.
We're going to have to keep voting on this because this is only for a couple years. You know what I'm saying? So we have to just keep this at the forefront and to keep them from, having to keep going over this and we making suggestions, recommendations to it. Is there something in how we can just put some language in there where that protection is in there and, it kind of be solid? Does that make sense?
Well, what I'm saying is there is protection under House Bill 482, right?
Yes, I know that. But what I'm saying is that bill requires of giving a report, but then too, that bill kind of like fades away, Well, it has to be another bill, proposed again for legislation.
Well, shouldn't we mention in the background and in here that this bill has existed and it's fading away, and then there's something we ought to piggyback on.
Yes, sir.
As a piece of background information, and that it provides some assistance, in doing this particular recommendation. We're not starting all over from scratch. We've got something to go from.
Yeah.
So it is mentioned in here in a little bit about how House Bill 482 did establish a predetermination process, but it was vetoed by the governor. Do you think that would cover kind of what you're talking about, is like how that House bill was almost there? We almost got there, but then it got vetoed. And so it's important to keep putting this up to make sure that it keeps getting considered.
Why did it get vetoed,
It did pass.
Yeah.
It did pass.
I believe it was passed, but it was vetoed by the governor. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, it passed the legislature, but it was vetoed.
All right, I missed that. Okay.
Because it's in here, and so I'm just thinking if there's anything additional. I mean, do we need to put some of the content of that bill in here? Because it's on the last page 33 that I have here in House Bill 20. But you're talking about you were talking about some detail here that I don't see in this paragraph that we need. We add something here.
Was it vetoed by the governor for content or for money?
I believe so. I'd have to look back at the veto bill, but I think he put something in place about how, he's already passed a lot of like protections in the past couple of years. I'd have to look back on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't even know that part.
Thank you for that context, putting that veto up there.
No, we need some little bit of a clarification here. That's all.
Yeah.
And Jenna just popped into the chat box the copy of the veto letter. If you can do that, it's in the chat.
All right, I'm looking.
And I do believe that some of the, so what the bill wanted to do was, part of it was establish that predetermination process. And that is in here as something that is part of the solution, is, you know, bringing that back up again and establishing a predetermination process.
Oh, huh. Yeah, he says part of the text is, if you don't have your computer on, it says House Bill 42 is well intentioned. The amendment intentionally undercuts those shared values. I look forward to collaborating, blah, blah, blah. So he feels that there's conflict of interest or conflict of something. Huh, interesting.
Then because that's very vague. I'm just going off of what you guys are saying because I'm on my phone. Yeah, I just don't really see any substance behind that and why you wouldn't. I mean, that would help, increase our workforce and add in more productive citizens and, working class and cash flow in and reduce recidivism if these guys and women have some type of hope, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and then
So-
Danielle popped up the letter too. No problem. So for those of you
So
that aren't,
did you see
are-
where it said that, there's both positive and negative impacts of the bill, but
Yeah.
he felt that exempting the Department of Health and its independent licensing boards from existing standards outweighs the benefits of a predetermination review process, and that Maryland can't afford to permanently disenfranchise individuals with criminal histories from large sections of the economy should they pose no risk. So it's not so much that he opposes the actual bill itself, it's just that the bill took and it sectioned out the Department of Health licenses.
Mhm.
And he felt that by not having those in there, you're disenfranchising a whole group of people.
Right.
So, like, why did we take that out? Why did we take those licenses out of that bill?
Okay, it might be good here, and what we insert here is to say something about that referencing the governor's objections to the bill. This is going to the governor, this report, and if we're piggybacking on some of his thoughts,
Right.
that would be very helpful. I mean,
Oh, yeah. He also said about how, the Expungement Reform Act, how that got completed and done, and that because of that, that supports eligibility and opens up pathways for work, wages, and wealth for Marylanders, including returning citizens. So I guess he felt that it was okay to veto it because of the Expungement Act.
okay.
So
I would
say a lot on that one, but
What he wrote.
I would think a sentence or two would be very simple here. That the commissioners would take into consideration the governor's veto of this bill under this recommendation. So we're basically saying is, Governor, we appreciate your input on this. We're going to consider that as we move forward. I mean, something really simple references his veto, and that we're going to work with that, with the parameters that he set up.
Yeah,
Or the
so
recommendations, something like that. I mean,
the
that
sentence
would be okay. Let's see.
Oh, sorry. The sentence that I just put in here was about the section about House Bill 482 and that veto, just saying the commission urges the predetermination process to be available across all employment sectors. So hopefully that addresses that carve out for MDH.
Be available.
I would say all employment sectors and licensing boards.
Thank you.
Yeah, because Ansley, do you remember I sent you that memorandum, and there was only a couple of licensing.
Yeah.
If you go to department, if you go to it, there was only a couple of them of those departments who were against it, that was unfavorable of this bill, but there was others that was on board. I think the nursing wasn't, they wasn't on board with it. It was like 4 more.
That's probably why it was carved out then.
Yeah.
On the health.
But again, that's 7 years, because that's normally what applications do say. Have you committed a crime within 7 years? So if you have it and you're and whatever offense that that person committed is after 7, they don't even have to mention it.
Well, I think we're getting in the weeds of it. I just think we don't need to go into that as much. I think I don't.
I mean,
don't
but
like-
that, I mean, it,
I understand what you're saying, Ed. I'm not.
that
negating
does
it.
play a part, though. I mean,
Right,
I know
I
you
know,
did
but I
not
don't
have
think-
that
I don't-
experience. I
I don't-
mean, huh?
But I don't think we need to put that in here. I think that'll be considered what I'm worried about is, as I read this more, is while the bill passed the General Assembly, it's vetoed by the governor, put Maryland behind 21
Mhm.
states currently. They were saying something negative. I don't think the governor wants to hear from us. Because I think what his veto, from what I've heard, was good intention as far as we're concerned. So I would rather not say that. I'd say something about while the bill
Say
passed the
what?
General Assembly, the governor vetoed the bill because he recommended certain changes that, blah, blah. I don't know. We need to reword this so that the governor sees that we're supporting his recommendations.
Okay, other feedback or comments related to this section?
Yeah.
Related
I
to
wrote like,
482. And
Well,
then
can I just say one more thing, Diane? Jamal, I don't mean to negate the 7-year thing at all. I think that's wonderful, but I think we'll keep that in mind as we go through this in our deliberation.
Yeah,
But
don't. So
that's
here's my thing. Here's my thing, Dr. Sartor, and then I'll shut up. Because I'm in a place where I'm speaking for some of those individuals, because I've been through that since I've moved here and not living here that long, and being, you know, not given an opportunity because of charges a long time ago, which they were driving charges. So I can just imagine others who've had other offenses outside of driving. I'm in a position to help. So I'm just striving to do my darnest to help, but then also to show others and how us as a commission coming together, taking in consideration of those with lived experience and really listening to what they have experienced being out here in the workforce. So that's all.
Okay, no, I'm behind you 100% on this. And I think because you're working with us, you're going to continue to help us get this thing right. And so
Yes, sir.
as we go on with these recommendations, we'll pick it up after this.
Yes, sir.
We're
I
going to make
appreciate
sure that's kept.
I put
But I'll
exactly what the governor said in the letter, like specifically to this. So Ainsley, if you want to kind of, because that's kind of positive, we can take what he had and kind of reword it into like a positive thing.
Yeah,
Now-
thanks for putting that whole text in the chat box, Seth.
Yep.
So for those of you on the phone, you should be able to see it now too, if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to copy and paste it, but it's not letting me. But I'll
you're on
look
the
at it. I'll
phone.
do my due diligence as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say what, Danielle?
Yeah, it's kind of hard if you have a phone. Don't
Yeah,
try to do it.
but it's all right.
All right, we got it. And we'll, Ainsley and I'll make sure as we go over this,
Sorry to take y'all time up on that.
no, you're not taking any time up. You're educating us. All I'm simply saying is we don't need to put all that in because we know it's good background for us, but we're going to go forward with this and make sure the governor's happy with, we take his stuff into consideration, or he had some opinion on this and we want to put it in the report.
Yes, sir. Understood.
All right, on this recommendation, any other questions or comments or clarifications that you'd feel more comfortable with, knowing that of the part that we just related to H Bill 482? Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. All right, if my printing is correct, that was the last recommendation for us to talk about. Am I
Yes.
correct, Ainsley?
That is correct. Yes.
Yay, okay. So we have had a positive affirmation for each one of the submitted recommendations with a couple edits for 2 or 3 of them. And then we'll work with Steve and Ainsley to play with the language a little bit. Will this work group see this again before it goes to the commission next week?
Well,
I don't
go ahead, Ainsley.
I don't believe so, but what I will do is make sure and try and get this paragraph done by the end of the day and send it out to everybody here to get feedback like as soon as possible. I think it's probably just about putting like one or two more sentences in there and reworking it a little bit, so it should be a really fast turnaround.
Okay, that's great.
I
Yeah,
think
I
what I would like to do is then get this to the commission by the end of Tuesday. So people have Wednesday to read it, if not before Tuesday. And so because the commission is going to have to vote on all these recommendations for all three groups. And we want to get the recommendations, not the whole report. There's going to be a letter added, there could be activities added, stuff like that are in your outline of the whole report. But we want to get these recommendations set for the vote.
So on Thursday, when this section is presented to the commission, what is that process? Is that something you want me to walk through, sort of like we did today, or is it just presented by Steve, or what's the plan?
I think what we're going to do is ask, first of all, the commission want to vote on all, maybe we'll ask things, if there are any, I don't know, Angie and I have to talk about this, but we'll probably have to have them vote on every one of the recommendations, but we might be able to shortcut that by saying, okay, we're here with the ABE, GED, for example. Are there any particular, recommendations that people are really having problems with that, we need to discuss? And then get that out and then vote. But we're gonna have to vote on all of them, either by saying, are you gonna vote for 1 through 5, yes, no, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I don't know. We're gonna have to figure that out. The commission got to decide how they want to do that. And we may, as we go through, we'll do career tech, and maybe what we'll do, I think it'd be courtesy to you and the other chairs to say, Diana, do you want to present these, and we'll vote on them one at a time, so we can go like that, or vote on them however they want to vote on them, and then have you make a comment or two about them, and then we'll go to vote.
Yeah, just let me know how that's going to proceed. I'm fine either way.
Yeah.
And I'm not in the car that day, so I'll be at my computer. So that makes it easier. I mean, that makes it easier for me, more doable for me and more professional. I don't like doing this stuff in the car.
We don't want you driving and doing this.
Well, that too, but
We'll have Richard have to come out and arrest you for driving and under the intoxication of digital information or something.
Right. On personal overload, brain overload. Right. Okay. In the interest of time, I think that we've got the resource materials ready for Ainsley and Steve. We've got your comments and feedback. I think that we've got everything that we need to update the draft to present to the commission. I guess Tuesday they want their drafts, and they'll be ready for the meeting on Thursday. So anything else you want to add today, or any new topic? I know our next meeting is in December sometime. When is that date, Ainsley? Help me.
So that is something that I'm probably going to talk to Dr. Stir about to see if we want to meet for December, or if we want to take a month off. But if hearing none, well, because we usually meet at the end of the month, so that will be like the last week of December. So I don't know if people are going to want to meet then. So we'll have discussions about it and see.
Well, why don't we ask this very quickly, since we have a few minutes? I don't want to take us, we've gone very efficiently here, thanks to Diana. And, but do people want to meet, in December at all? I mean, because what we're going to have is our final report and the commission's vote, and then, we'll know what's going forward. Do people see the need to do that?
Well, I guess my question is, there a need to do that?
Right.
I don't know in terms of process. I mean, do we need to? If we need to, then we'll have to figure it out. If we don't need to immediately, then we can probably push it to January.
Diana, when are you having your operation?
January 7th.
You want to have a meeting in December just before that? I mean, just for your sake, because after January 7th, you're going to need a week or two off from this.
Yeah, but if we meet at the end of January, I should be, I'm not saying fine, I'm not going to be driving all over the state or walking around in prisons, but I should be very computerable, I would think. I would hope.
No, you will be. I mean, if you haven't, my experience with back surgery, like you're going to go through, is, you'll be quite capable after a few days of doing that.
Yeah. So I think, why don't we just, things change, okay, but I just assume, well, again, if we need to meet in December, that's fine. I'm around. I'm not out of town, but I guess it's more important what other people are doing. So that's a big family week for travel and family and
Yeah, we're not
whatever.
gonna meet the last week, and I won't be around the last week probably, unless we have an airstrike again, and I'd like to go to Chicago during that time for family reasons, but, so we normally, because we meet, this committee meets the last week. You know, what's the feeling about people on this call? I mean, do you want to have a quick meeting in December sometime at a different week, or?
Are we meeting as a commission? Board? Not, I know we're not meeting as a, subcommittee, I mean, the commission here, but I'm just saying in general, are we meeting as a
Well, you know, we
commission?
will have a December commission meeting.
So wouldn't it, I don't know, wouldn't it make sense to possibly have that, subcommittees and just keep it short or no?
Well, maybe we could determine at that commission meeting if we want to have committee meetings during the rest of the month, because that'll be the first week of December.
Yeah,
I think that's a good idea.
yeah, okay.
Because I'm wondering, will there be an action item related to us or something that we need to do that'll happen next week at the commission meeting as a whole?
The only thing is to maybe inform everybody about what the delegates are going to propose for law, that relates to this committee, because, and that would be good information for people to know, because there's a possibility that the session comes up in January, and that there'll be some hearings, and there'll be some possible asked to come down and testify or whatever. So, I mean, if they ask me, if the some bill comes up on licensure and they say to the commission, want you to testify, I don't want to go in and do that because I don't have the expertise. I'll go down there with the person, introduce the people who are on this committee who know this better. And so, you know, I hear the hearings and you know, it's up to the committees when they have their readings, who they want to testify at different times, if they want testimony. So that's the only thing that I can think of that might come back to this committee, because here's a lot of expertise on something that we've got 2 bills that are going to be introduced that relate to the work of this commission.
Mhm.
So maybe we can decide that at our December commission meeting, or think about it and give us some feedback. Diane, you're the chair. Maybe think about it and and you can determine that, or send out an email to everybody you want to meet.
Yeah, we'll see where we are, I said, after next week, and we're kind of where we stand. Okay. Anything else? Any other comments or feedback?
Yeah, great job. Great job.
Thank you, everybody, for your feedback and your timeliness. And if we don't see you, happy Thanksgiving. And I can't believe it's the middle of November already. What happened? I don't know. But it's also Friday afternoon, right before a weekend. So we won't keep you. I'm sure you've got more email to do and more calls, just like Richard does. So anyway, if nothing else, thank you very much. And we'll see you next time, and stay tuned. And Ainsley, thank you, and Steve, for all the